Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative Headline News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar. Starting off locally here in Trinidad and Tobago, the government is now pushing for a special meeting of Caricom Heads of Government to challenge the reappointment of Dr. Carla Barnett as Secretary General, the head of Caricom, signaling that fresh elections are also firmly on the table. I'm very happy to hear the Prime Minister demanding fresh elections. What was done was completely wrong. I'm holding that vote without the knowledge of the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago or inviting her to attend. This after it was revealed yesterday that this country was deliberately disinvited from the voting process. Who gave them the authority to do that? And if that's the case, why are we still part of CARICOM? The government of Trinidad and Tobago claims it was surreptitiously excluded from the decision-making process, alleging that the reappointment occurred without being on the official agenda and without an invitation for TNT to participate in the deliberations. On Monday, Prime Minister Kamla Persaud-Bissessar declared that she will ruthlessly pursue the matter. Yesterday, Foreign and Caricom Affairs Minister Sean Sobers said that after sending 3 official letters to Caricom and being the largest contributor, listen to that, largest contributor to Caricom's budget, no acknowledgement is very, very troubling. Sobers said this underscores what the Prime Minister has been saying, that Caricom is not being run optimally and efficiently. Asked what comes next, Sobers says TNT will this week formally request a meeting of CARICOM's Community Council, the body comprising all foreign affairs ministers across the region. My response, Rowley, former Prime Minister, as I call him, former Emperor, would have never tolerated this level of disrespect from heads of other Caribbean nations, but tribal PNM patriots will condemn Kamla if she decides to reduce financial contributions to CARICOM or even defund it completely. You could imagine the kind of outrage we would have had within Kakash media and the PNM movement if Rowley wasn't invited to be able to participate in the voting process, the electing of the head of CARICOM. I mean, this is a scandal that cannot be tolerated. This was completely wrong, and they should be held accountable for their actions. Prime Minister Kamla Persaud-Bissessar has announced that a diplomatic delegation will soon travel to Venezuela to ensure Trinidad and Tobago secures its just share of cross-border oil and gas resources, signaling a renewed push to advance stalled energy projects. Of course, we're talking about the Dragon Gas deal as well. Speaking at a fire tender handover ceremony in Penal on Wednesday, Prime Minister Bissessar said the move forms part of broader efforts to strengthen the country's economic security alongside improvements in national safety infrastructure. That is going to be definitely much needed, really much needed revenue in Trinidad and Tobago. Now, it wasn't worth it. Let's just be very clear. It was not worth it to pursue the Dragon Gas deal while the Trump administration had sanctions on Venezuela, because we would have ended up losing a whole lot more if the Trump administration placed sanctions on us. You understand that, PNM patriots? It's all about timing. It's needed, but not needed that much. It was not our main priority. Our main priority is to maintain a very close relationship with our greatest trading partner, the United States of America.
Can we thank the Chief Fire Officer for your words, and all the fire officers are with us today. I think they must be happy. Chief Fire Officer said they were in exile for maybe 10 years or more. But you're out of exile now. And you mentioned some other areas, but we can do one thing at a time. We can do several things at the same time, but we can't do everything at the same time. So we do it step by step, and we start today with these fire tenders. If you look at them, 682, can you see the numbers on them? 682 tender 1. 683, tender 2. 684, tender 3. 685, tender 4. 686, and 687. So we have 6 trucks here today. This is just the beginning. More is yet to come. I say again, I cannot give you fire officers everything on the same day, but I promise you, and I do keep my word, that we will bring in more tenders. We're working with the Minister of Homeland Security, already has them earmarked. We have them, which ones, what they look like, where we'll get them from, they will come in, okay? So will you look forward to that, fire officers? You are now out of exile. You come into freedom, and we will work with you.
Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar formally handed over 6 new fire tenders to the fire service on Wednesday afternoon. She reaffirmed her government's commitment to fully equip, support, and modernize the TTFS, ensuring communities across Trinidad and Tobago are protected. Now, bear in mind, people, and of course, most likely the administration would not have admitted this, but I can't be like that. I have to be very fair. While tender notices were issued around April 2023, the trucks were reported to have arrived or received in late 2025, early 2026, meaning that it's the PNM administration, the Rowley administration, that ordered these or procured these fire tenders. The only thing about it is, okay, it's 2023. Why this wasn't done much earlier? You were in office since 2015, Prime Minister Rowley, Emperor Rowley. But, so it was good and yet it was bad. It was done really, really late in the Rowley administration terms in office. But still, you have to give credit when credit was due. It was ordered. It was ordered by the PNM government, not the United National Congress or Kamala Persad-Bissessar administration.
Weather report for Trinidad and Tobago. Thursday, April 9, 2026. General summary. The forecast for Thursday, April 9 indicates mostly fair, breezy, and slightly hazy conditions across both islands. While the day is expected to be generally dry, there is a low chance of isolated showers, particularly during the afternoon hours over western areas of Trinidad. Temperature and heat. High temperature, 32 degrees Celsius feels like 34 degrees Celsius. Low temperature, 23 degrees Celsius to 25 degrees Celsius. UV index, 7 high. Timeline forecast. Morning 6 a.m. to 12 p.m., mostly sunny and breezy. Temperatures rising from 24 degrees Celsius to 28 degrees Celsius. Afternoon 12 p.m. to 4 p.m., partly cloudy with a 20% to 30% chance of an isolated shower. High of 32 degrees Celsius. Evening 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., settled and fair. Temperatures cooling to 27 degrees Celsius. Night 8 p.m. to 6 a.m., mostly clear and cool. Low of 23 degrees Celsius. Wind and air quality. Winds easterly to southeasterly at 15 to 40 kilometers per hour. Haze, mild concentrations of Saharan dust are expected. Persons with respiratory sensitivities should take necessary precautions. Marine forecast. Sea state, moderate. Open waters, waves 1.5 to 2.0 meters. Sheltered areas, below 1.0 meter, occasionally choppy in breezy areas. Tides, Port of Spain, high tide at 4:32 a.m. and 5:45 p.m. Low tide at 11:12 a.m. and 11:34 p.m. Tides, Scarborough, high tide at 4:18 a.m. and 5:14 p.m. Low tide at 10:48 a.m. and 11:05 p.m. Sun and moon. Sunrise, 5:55 a.m. Sunset, 6:14 p.m. Moonrise, 12:21 a.m. Moonset, 11:42 a.m. Hazards. No major weather alerts are in effect. However, localized street flooding is possible in the event of a heavy afternoon shower.
Regional news now. Minister of Agriculture, Forestry and Rural Transformation, Israel Bruce in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, speaking at a news conference on Tuesday, reported on his recent visit to Abuja, Nigeria, from March 23rd to 28th, 2026, where he attended the Aquarian Consults Afri-Caribbean Investment Summit. The minister said the visit was coordinated by Nigerian Curarian Consult in conjunction with the government of St. Kitts and Nevis and brought together agriculture ministers from the Caribbean, Nigeria, and other neighboring African countries. I am very happy that they are doing that. Even here in Trinidad and Tobago, we are making a whole lot of agreements, diplomatic agreements with various countries in Africa. And I have nothing against that. I'm very happy for that. Make agreements with all various countries, India, Africa, and so forth. My problem is with the PNM and a lot of the tribal leaders in the Caribbean is that they want to distance themselves from our main trading partner and the protector of the Caribbean, the United States of America. People always think as though I have an issue with Africa. No, I don't. As a matter of fact, I would love to visit various countries in Africa one of these blessed days.
One of the things that I said came out is the offering by the Agricultural Development Bank in Nigeria of a financial facility that would allow for Caribbean governments like St. Vincent and the Grenadines to be able to access financing through the Agricultural Bank to assist the farming or the agricultural sector here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Now, it is something that is available to us. It is for us to now further sit down with the Agricultural Bank of Nigeria to see what are the conditions of lending, what is the rates of lending, and to see the extent to which it is concessionary, so that we can borrow on concessionary terms and seek to on-lend to our farmers at concessionary rates, to allow our National Development Bank to borrow from that under the agricultural envelope, which I propose and I assume will fall under the National Development Bank. So it's an opportunity for us to borrow seed monies through the Nigeria Bank, the Agricultural Bank that is, to allow our farmers to borrow from our National Development Bank so that the agricultural businesses can continue to succeed.
22,308 street lights installed across the country of Guyana so far under the National Street Light Program, making communities brighter and safer every night. As of last Monday, more than 22,000 lights have been installed in various areas where works are ongoing across the country. A significant number of those were installed in Berbice. Minister of Public Works Bishop Juan Edgehill, during a recent stakeholder engagement, said, as the National Street Light Program continues to unfold, all installations are being carried out under the supervision of certified electricians and licensed contractors to ensure safety and quality standards. This program is a critical component of the government's efforts to bolster public safety, improving visibility for all road users, directly aims to reduce the frequency of road accidents, but also to safe for pedestrians for more than one reason, to prevent accidents, yes, but also to deter criminals from targeting innocent citizens. Linvan Wright, the principal of William Knibb High School in Jamaica, says governments over the years have failed to provide adequate sports facilities for athletes in Western Jamaica, leaving them at a significant disadvantage to athletes from the corporate area who are exposed to high-quality facilities. I think that's something that takes place throughout the entire Caribbean, even here in Trinidad and Tobago. In a Facebook post last Thursday, during the staging of the annual ISA Boys and Girls Athletics Championships, Wright described the strong political presence at the high school showpiece as shameless And of course, that is something that most likely the Andrew Holness administration is going to need to address. You need to serve all the peoples of your country equally, Prime Minister Andrew Holness. Maybe you were not aware about what's taking place. I do think that you're doing a reasonably good job in your country in general. Chief Executive Officer of the National Insurance and Social Security Service in Barbados, Kim Tudor, outlined the National Insurance Scheme's role in distributing the government's cost of living cash credits. Another good initiative coming out from Barbados. She also highlighted the agency's readiness following its previous experience managing the Solidarity Allowance for over 200,000 people. As I said on my other channel a little while ago, I do have issues with Mia Mottley. I don't know much about the administration itself, but I have issues with Mia Mottley. She tends to lean on the leftist side of governance, and she definitely seems as though she doesn't really support the Trump administration and America to that extent. And she doesn't get along with the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. At least it doesn't appear to be so. But she's doing a pretty good job when it pertains to governing her country.
I'm pretty confident that it will go very efficiently and very smoothly. Minister spoke earlier with regard to those who are eligible, and he would have identified that and stated that in the budget. What I want to share with you is how it will operate. So first, for the eligible beneficiaries, that is the pensioners, both NIS pensioners and public sector pensioners, as well as the special needs grant, no action is required from you. We already have your contact information. You already receive a pension from us, and on the April 20th and every month for the 20th or the business day, the last business day preceding the 20th, you will receive your payment. If you are accustomed to receiving a check, you will receive a check. If you receive your pension via lodgement, it will come via lodgement. So no action is required of you. You don't have to do anything. You will get it on the 20th or nearest day to the 20th. Now, with regard to those other persons receiving welfare, if you got the Solidarity Allowance last year, you have an NIS number, and there's going to be nothing required of you either. But for those who are new on the welfare's role, we're going to require that you register with the NIS. Now, the minister also is making this cash credit available to persons who are over 65, who are not working, and who are not in receipt of any pension, whether it is from Barbados or overseas. You are going to be required to register because we really don't know who you are. You're going to be required to register.
The husband of missing American woman Lynette Hooker has been arrested in connection with murder. Assistant Commissioner of Police Avado Dames confirmed in Bahamas. Authorities say the arrest came after investigators completed their inquiry into the circumstances surrounding Hooker's disappearance at sea in Abaco. Hooker was reported missing after allegedly falling overboard while traveling by dinghy near Elbow Cay. Search efforts had since transitioned into a recovery operation. I said that yesterday. I can't remember if it's on this channel or the other channel. I said something wrong, something was wrong with that story. I knew that wasn't adding up. It just didn't sound right. Key in hand and everything like that, that she just fell overboard. I knew, and I said it yesterday that the husband needs to be investigated. I was right. International news now. No ID, no entry. The Obama Presidential Center is facing criticism over ID requirements for free admission, with critics pointing to a clash with Democrats' stance over voter ID laws. They don't find that discriminative, leftist Democrats. You don't need that ID to vote. The most important thing in a nation's democracy is to be able to vote, to choose your leaders. You don't need an ID for that. But to enter a building, you need that. The Obama Presidential Library is making people show an ID for proof of Illinois residency to get in for free. So residents have to prove who they are for this, but not to vote. One critic wrote, and they're 100% correct. But you see, the hypocrisy and double standard on the left, just like here in Trinidad and Tobago, the PNM, they're bold-faced. They don't care about principles or anything like that. Vice President J.D. Vance doubles down on his warning to Iran. Take the next step for peace or be prepared to go back to war. He said, I think the president has struck a good deal for the American people, but fundamentally, the Iranians have got to take the next step, or the president has a lot of options to go back to war. J.D. Vance, number one, the deal wasn't perfect. Matter of fact, the main part of that deal was terribly wrong is how Trump is allowing the Ayatollah terrorist regime to charge ships passing through the Strait of Hormuz $2 million. That's going to generate a whole lot of revenue that the Iranian terrorist Ayatollah regime is going to use to rebuild their military infrastructure and purchase weapons from Russia and China. And they will secretly continue to enrich uranium in order to develop nuclear weapons. The Trump administration is being very counterproductive at this point in time. If you want to end the war, do so, but leave all sanctions in place and demand that the Strait of Hormuz is reopened free of charge, not $2 million to be funding the terrorists. That is wrong, totally wrong.
I'm happy about where we are. I think the president has struck a good deal for the American people, but fundamentally, the Iranians have got to take the next step, or the president has a lot of options to go back to the war.
Now for the interesting facts segment, a calm and confident cat named Yo-Yo is winning hearts online for staying completely relaxed during a loud fireworks show. While most cats are known to fear sudden noises, something widely noted by animal behavior experts, Yo-Yo seems unbothered, sitting comfortably in her owner's arms, dressed in a cute outfit and clutching her tiny plush toy. She watches the colorful explosions with pure curiosity. The toy appears to give her a sense of comfort, turning a typical stressful situation into a surprisingly peaceful moment. It's a charming reminder of how small things can help pets feel safe. I will also add is the relationship that the animal has with the owner. That's probably why she feels, or he feels, why she feels so secure and safe and wouldn't be easily frightened by those loud noises.
Welcome to Real Conservative Headline News Travel Adventures. Cuyahoga Valley National Park, located between Cleveland and Akron, Ohio, offers a blend of natural beauty and cultural history, featuring lush forests, rolling hills, the Cuyahoga River, and the historic Ohio and Erie Canal towpath trail. Key attractions include the 60-foot Brandywine Falls, the Ledges Overlook, and the Scenic Railway. Key highlights and activities. Hiking. Popular trails include the 2.2-mile Ledges Loop for rock formations, Brandywine Gorge Loop, and the scenic Blue Hen Falls Trail. Towpath Trail, a flat, 20-mile scenic path perfect for walking, running, or biking, following the historic Ohio and Erie Canal. Cuyahoga Valley Scenic Railroad offers scenic rides through the park, including a unique Explorer program that allows cyclists to bike one way and train back. Waterfalls. Highlights include the towering Brandywine Falls, accessible via boardwalk, and the smaller, charming Blue Hen Falls. Visitor centers. The Boston Mill Visitor Center acts as the main hub, with the Canal Exploration Center offering historical insights. Travel tips. Best time to visit. The park is stunning during spring, waterfalls, summer, greenery, and autumn, fall foliage. Location. Easily accessible, located about 30 minutes south of Cleveland or north of Akron. Accessibility. Many areas, including parts of the Towpath Trail and the Brandywine Falls viewing deck, are accessible. Accommodation. While no major campgrounds are inside, travelers can find unique, historic lodging at places like the Inn at Brandywine Falls. Duration. A single day is enough to see major highlights, but 2 days allow for a more relaxing experience exploring both hiking and biking. Hope you enjoyed today's video, and we'll see you again tomorrow as our journey around the world continues.
Folks, that brings us to the end of today's news headlines. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe most of all. In Jesus' name.